Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stokasat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sisi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Braj Bhumi Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, welcome to today's class. So today we are concluding the 17th chapter with a very nice verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from chapter 17, the divisions of faith, and text number 28. Ashraddaya hutam dattam tapas taptam kritam chayat asad ichyutate partha nacha tat pretyano iha Ashradaya hutam datam tapas taptam kritam chayat asad ichyutyate partha nacha tat pretyano iha Ashradaya hutam datam tapas taptam kritam chayat asad ityutate partha nacha tat pretyano iha Ashradaya hutam datam tapas taptam kritam chayat asad ityutate partha nacha tat pretyano iha
Ashradaya hutam dattam tapastaptam krutam chayat
asadityutyate partha nacha tat pratyano iha
Ashradaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asad iti uchate partha nacha tat pretyano iha
Ashradaya hutam datam tapas taptam kritam chayat asad ityutyate partha nacha tat pretyano iha Ashradaya hutam datam tapas taptam kritam chayat asad ityutyate partha nacha tat pretyano iha Ashradaya without faith hutam offered in sacrifice dattam given tapaha penance taptam executed kritam performed cha also yet that which asat false iti thus uchyate is said to be partha O son of Pritha na never cha also tat that pretya after death nau nor iha in this life. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anything done as a sacrifice, charity or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pritha, is impermanent. It is called asat and it is useless both in this life and the next. Please repeat. Anything done as a sacrifice, charity or penance, without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pritha, is impermanent. It is called asat, and it is useless, both in this life and the next. So purport, anything done without the transcendental objective, whether it be sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. Therefore, in this verse, it is declared that such activities are abominable. Everything should be done for the Supreme in Krishna consciousness. Without such faith, Without the proper guidance, there can never be any fruit. In all the Vedic scriptures, faith in the Supreme is advised. In the pursuit of all Vedic instructions, the ultimate goal is the understanding of Krishna. No one can obtain a success without following this principle. Therefore, the best course is to work from the very beginning in Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. That is the way to make everything successful. In the conditional state, people are attracted to worshipping demigods, ghosts, or yakshas like Kuvera. In the mode of goodness is better than the modes of passion and ignorance, but one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of material nature. Although there is a process of gradual elevation, if one, by the association of pure devotees, takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way. And that is recommended in this chapter. To achieve success in this way, one must first find the proper spiritual master and receive training under his direction. Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures, in the course of time, it is called love of God. This love is the ultimate goal of the living entities. One should therefore take to Krishna consciousness directly. That is the message of this 17th chapter. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the divisions of faith. Alma Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyaham Sri Guruho Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ashadaya Hutam Datam Tapas Taptam Kritam Chayat Asad Ichutate Parta Na Chatat Pretano Ihat. Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance, without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pritha, is impermanent. It is called asat, and it is useless in both in this life and the next. So this is the concluding verse of this 17th chapter. And it's in this respect, it's very important because without that, this whole chapter has been looking at the three modes of nature up until the last three verses. So we've been looking at, it starts by Arjuna asking the question of, in the 16th chapter, divine nature was described, demoniac nature was described. And Arjuna is saying, what happens to those who don't quite fit into that, who do some religious activities, but they don't strictly follow the Shastras, they don't do everything properly. And so he asked that question, and that's the first 7 verses are about that. And then Krishna starts to answer, and he talks about, first he talks about food in the different modes. Now he talks about food first because it's an easy way for us to see what people are eating, what mode they're in. If food is too spicy, then it's the mode of passion. If food is putrid or tasteless, then it's the mode of ignorance. But if food is healthy and juicy and delicious, then it's in the mode of goodness. And of course, food cannot be offered after 3 hours after being cooked, so we have to offer it before the 3 hours come up. Then a sacrifice in the mode, austerity in the modes, charity in the modes. And then starting from verse number 23, Krishna was raising this above the 3 modes of nature, which is why he introduced Om Tat Sat. Because Om Tat Sat, as explained in the verses, and Prabhupada even more fully explained, Om Tat Sat is addressing the Supreme. So any of the activities, if you don't address the Supreme, as Prabhupada says in the purport here, they're useless. And he also calls them abominable. He translates asat as abominable as well as useless. So Prabhupada explains that Om Tat Sat takes us up to the transcendental platform because we're offering to the Supreme. It purifies the flaws in our activities, charity, penance, and austerity, anything that we do. And then by dedicating it to Krishna, we get fully realized. So this concluding verse is saying that if this is not done, if it is not offered to Krishna, then it is useless. Prabhupada even calls it abominable. So we'll just understand these Om Tat Sat a little bit. So because Om Tat Sat was a traditional phrase that's used in the Vedic literature, but Srila Prabhupada has gone to a deeper meaning. So traditionally people thought of Om, if they're impersonalists, they think Om just belongs to the primordial sound of the universe. Om is Brahman. But Prabhupada is saying that Om is, and Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the transcendental Om, the 3 letters, is addressed to the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada also mentions that the Vedic mantras that are meant to address Krishna are prefaced by Om, like Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sarapasyanti Suraya Divivar Chakshataram Tadvapasavapanyiva. So like that, Om is in the beginning. Tat is, in the Vedic mantras, it's Tattvam Asi. You are that. It's about impersonalism. But Prabhupada makes it more specific. He says Tat means that. It means that what I've got is that. It's not mine. It belongs to the Supreme. It belongs to Tat. It doesn't belong to me. So in this way, Tat is meant to cultivate renunciation. Sat means truth, literally means truth or existence. And then, so therefore, truth or existence, Prabhupada is saying that the only real truth is bhakti, is devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So, as I said, this Om Tat Sat is meant to purify our sacrifices, austerity, and penances. It can be said at the start of a sacrifice. When we do sacrifices in ISKCON, we do sacrifices generally based on, the parampara is generally there, and lots of other, you'll find if they do an elaborate sacrifice, they'll recite lots of names of Vishnu. But they're focusing, the first mantras they're chanting are focusing on Krishna. And even in a proper Vedic yajna that's aimed at a demigod, they will address Yajna Purush, who is Krishna, first. So if you worship the demigods according to the Vedas, you're actually worshipping Krishna. A little indirectly, but as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you're worshipping him. But when people make up their own methods of worshipping demigods, then it becomes asat. because they're not following the proper processes. It actually becomes in the mode of ignorance. If they don't follow the prescribed processes, they're in the mode of ignorance. So Prabhupada also says that Om Tat Sat removes flaws in your worship. In the Vedic mantras, everything has to be pronounced absolutely perfectly. In the Bhagavatam, there is an example of Diti who pronounced one word wrong, and she got she got an enemy that Indra could kill instead of somebody who could kill Indra, just because she pronounced one word with a long vowel instead of a short vowel. Okay. So there's one verse in the Bhagavatam which explains this purpose of why this Tat Sat is put there. Tavat karmani kurvita na nirvidat yeta yavata matkata shravanadu va shraddha yava najayate. As long as one is not satiated by fruit of activity and has not awakened his taste for devotional service by Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, one has to act according to the regular principles of the Vedic injunctions. So this verse is very important, explaining why this Krishna is advising this Om Tat Sat. If we're still attached to fruitive results, if we're still attached to wanting to get out of this material world, then we have to be very careful to purify our activities. So then we have to follow the regular principles. We have to go according to the regulations in the Vedas, and Om Tat Sat is recommended. So once we come to pure bhakti, then we know Hare Krishna Mahamantra does more than Om Tat Sat does. We'll come to that a little later. First, Om Tat Sat. So this warning in this last verse is that if it's not done with faith in the Supreme, it is asat, non-existent or false. So even if the ritual is performed perfectly, with perfect Sanskrit and massive charity and all the things that you're supposed to have, feeding all the devotees, it still becomes useless if you don't offer it to the Supreme Lord. If you don't come to the Shuddha Sattva platform. And as in the verse it says, useless in this life and in the next. Why does it say this life and the next? Because even if we gain success in our sacrifices, the maximum we'll get is to go back to the heavenly planets, live there for thousands of years, and then we have to come back to the earth again. So it just puts us into a complete cycle. It doesn't give us any permanent benefit. So we're talking about faith. So I want to go back a little bit and come to some personal application. So we'll talk a little bit about faith. So faith comes from, the pure faith comes from us receiving a pure Bhakti Lata Bij, which we receive by the mercy of the spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada explains that this Bhakti Lata Bij is the methods, rules, and regulations of devotional service received by through the spiritual master and Krishna's grace. So this process of Krishna consciousness given to us is in essence the Bhakti Lata Bij, is our seed of devotion. But if we are less fortunate and we don't happen to meet the pure devotee, or we're so much attached to our own desires that we don't take notice of what the pure devotee is trying to give us, we might get a non-devotional seed. We might get, Prabhupada calls this also bij. He says you can get a karma bij if you want to enjoy fruitively. He says you can get a jnana bij if you want to get freedom from distress. Or he also includes anya bilasya bij, which means other things. It means if you have political aspirations, social aspirations, or philanthropic motives, you get a similarly bij. So some of these things look a bit like Bhakti Lata Bij. But the main thing they don't have is the exclusive dependence and shelter of Krishna. They have some of the other things. You can get faith in scriptures. You can enjoy the process. You can get a lot of results. But without faith in Krishna, they're bhakti abhas. They're just a shadow. They're just a semblance. So as devotees, we say, okay, we're doing pure devotional service, but we have to be careful that we don't allow things inside. Because even if we receive Bhakti Lata Bij from the spiritual master, we have to apply it properly. These rules and regulations and processes have to be applied. So if we're careless and we don't apply them properly, if we spend our time wandering through YouTube or going to movies or talks or in reading non-devotional books too much, then we can weaken our bhakti. And we will still have bhakti abhas. Even if we received from the spiritual master, if we don't apply it properly, it will still be bhakti abhas, semblance of devotion. So it looks like the real thing, but it will not give us Krishna prema. It will not take us to Goloka Vrindavan. So semblance means it's polluted by the spirit of enjoyment or liberation. It can lead to karma, dharma, artha, karma, moksha. A semblance of moksha, not real moksha. Real moksha is bhakti, but it can give us results. But it will not take us, it will keep us in the cycle of birth and death. It will not take us out of the cycle of birth and death. So if we're doing rituals, if we're doing sacrifices, charity, for personal gain, to look good, for anything else, then we're engaged in this bhakti abhas. So the process of getting pure faith starts with agyat sukriti. It starts with the accumulation of piety by doing some unknown acts of devotion. It's explained by the acharyas that simple things like if we have a habit of being pious and we like to, even one example given was if we like to build roads and we happen to build a road and one devotee uses that road to go on his pilgrimage, then we get some agyat sukriti from it. If we like feeding people and some devotee comes begging for food and we give them some food, then that's also agyat sukriti. So in that way this builds up unknowingly for people who are simply pious or simply fortunate, and until they get an interest in the Lord. And once they get an interest in the Lord, then they will start to come to see Him. And if they come to the right place, they will associate with the devotees. That's why Prabhupada built these temples. He built these temples so that we can give association to the people who come to see the Lord. They don't know they're looking for associating, some of them. But if we can give them some association, we can help them on their path to pure devotional service. And then as a result of association and learning, they develop shraddha, they develop faith. So for pure devotional service, that faith is Shraddha Shabde Vishvasa Kahe Sudrida Nishchay Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Krito Hai. Shraddha is confident, firm faith. By rendering transcendental loving service, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of pure devotional service. So this indicates exclusive dedication and complete dependence on Krishna. So these are the two things that are not in Abhasi faith. But three characteristics that are sometimes to be seen in the semblance of faith is trust in the scriptures, recognizing Shastra as an authority, getting some susukam, some happiness from our process of bhakti, and also becoming stronger in our devotional services. So obviously our goal we want to move from unsteady faith to steady faith practice, anishtita to nishtita. So our acharyas in the Vedas are very complicated. It's sometimes very difficult to know what to do and what not to do. We've got the guidance of the spiritual master, but we've also got one rule which the acharyas have given us, which is very helpful. It's in the Padma Puran, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyo Najatuchat, Sarve Vidi Nisedu Syur, Etayo Eva Kinkaraha. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should be always remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be servants of these two principles. Two principles: remember Krishna and never forget him. So when Rupa Goswami mentions the 64 angas of devotional service in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he starts with 10 do's and 10 don'ts. So the 10 do's are how to remember Krishna, and the 10 don'ts are how not to forget Krishna. So in that way, both sides are covered. And they start with taking shelter of a spiritual master, receiving initiation from a spiritual master, and receiving training from a spiritual master. So those are the first 3 most important things, Srila Prabhupada says. And after that, within the 64 angas of devotional service, there are 5 very potent ones, which will help us in devotional service. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vasa Srimutira, Shradaya Sivana. One should associate with the devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Mathura, worship the deity with faith and veneration. So Rupa Goswami explains that for these 5 items are so powerful that we don't need a prerequisite faith. If we engage in any one of these 5 items, but generally without offense, it generally won't work so well if we're offensive. But if we engage in any of these, any connection with this, even a slight connection with these can awaken love. But for the most part, progress depends on avoiding offenses. So of those 5, 3 are important. That's Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, and Bhagavat Shravana. And of those 2, there's 2, somewhere else it's described. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the most important. And then when we hear Navavida Bhakti, Shravanam Kirtana Vishnu, Srila Prabhupada says Shravana is the most important. But our acharyas explain, Srila Prabhupada also explains, Shravana is the most important because without Shravana, we won't get to Kirtana. So first we have to hear, and then we have to chant. So the Mahamantra is the most complete process for devotional service. It's the thing that is, Jiva Goswami explains in the Tattva Sandarbha, I think, that it's a required ingredient in all the other 8 processes of Navavidi Bhakti. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam. So all those 9 processes, the Kirtanam is required in all the other 8 to make it complete. In Kali Santarana Upanishad, there's the verse, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashakam Namnam, Kali Karma Shanashanam, Nata Parataropaya, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyati. These 16 names, Iti Shodashakam Namnam, are the only means to destroy the evil effects, Kalma Shanashanam, of the age of Kali. After searching through all the Vedic literature, Sarva Vedeshe Drishyate, one cannot find a better method, Nata Parataropaya, for crossing this ocean of nescience than chanting the holy names. So this chanting exceeds Om Tat Sat for various reasons, mainly because it brings us very quickly to the personal aspect of Krishna. There's no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. So the holy name brings us in direct contact with the Lord. Om also does that. It also represents Krishna, but it's more indirect. It's harder to find Krishna in the word Om. Whereas when we chant Hare Krishna, we know we're addressing Krishna, we're addressing Radharani as energy of Krishna. Please engage me in your service. We're asking for service, which is the active principle of devotional service. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purnya Suddho Nitya Mukto Binatvam Nama Namino. The holy name of Krishna is the transcendental touchstone. It is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure and living consciousness. It is complete, pure, and eternally liberated. This is because there is no difference between the name of Krishna and Krishna himself. So here we have why the Maha Mantra is better than Om Tat Sat. Because Om is a representative of the Absolute, but when you speak of Krishna, you're actually coming in direct contact with him. Because of Chintamani, the name is Chintamani. It, as a touchstone turns iron into gold, certainly in the similar way, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra can purify our unclean heart and bring it to Shuddha Sattva level. So it has these verses, Om Tat Sat 23 to 27, are also about purifying our sacrifices and our offerings. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is more complete at purifying. And it takes us beyond ritual. Om Tat Sat is involved in ritual, whereas the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will take us to a personal relationship with Krishna. Because the name is the same as Krishna. It's a vigraha, it's a form of Krishna. It's not just a sound. So for us as devotees, we need to always examine our motives. Now, most of us probably can't say, I know I can't say I've got pure faith. Because I know I'm attached to at least maintaining a comfortable lifestyle. But as long as we maintain the knowledge that our goal is pure Krishna consciousness, that our goal is to please Krishna, we're on the right path. We've got pure faith, but it's weak pure faith. But if we start getting too many other desires for enjoyment, we want position, we want fame, we want to be wealthy, we want to just cover ourselves and go back, at least if we don't go Loka Vrindavan, we at least want to go to the planets of the demigods. If we have those, we have to examine. If we have those sorts of motives, then we're in Bhakti Abhas, and our goal won't be going to Goloka Vrindavan. If in the meantime we still have some material desires, but we know the goal is Krishna, we have to work to purify those material desires, but at least we're on the right path. So the process, we know the process very well, but I'll repeat it. We have to hear. We have to hear from the right source. It's very important. This hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam will give us the right conception of Krishna so that we can do our devotional service. Once we understand that he's the Supreme, we'll want to offer things to him. And once we understand his mood and his care for us and his kindness, then we'll want to do it with love. So hearing, taking shelter of the devotees, especially Prabhupada mentions, finding the bona fide spiritual master, taking shelter from him and learning from him. And then yukta vairagya. Don't just do things. Whatever you do, Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you give in charity, do it as an offering to me. So we have to do that. We have to we have to be thoughtful, and whatever we're going to do, we can do it as an offering to Krishna. Yes, we have to look after our body, but we can look after our body so that we can execute devotional service with the goal to purifying our life and going back to Godhead. We have to eat well. We can't neglect the maintenance of our body. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that if we get rid of all of our prarabdha karma, then our body's finished. We need the body to execute devotional service. We have to maintain it. We have to maintain it nicely. We have to be a little comfortable. That's not forbidden. But we have to make sure that we know that the goal is Krishna. So, yukta vairagya, link things to Krishna. Make everything an offering to Krishna. Transform work and everything else we do into worship by simply offering it to Krishna. Whether you say Om Tat Sat or whether... Burijan Prabhu explains in Surrender Unto Me that in the 1950s, Srila Prabhupada was writing Om Tat Sat before he signed his name. And also you'll hear some devotees, particularly Janardhan Maharaj, has a habit to say Om Tat Sat. So you can say Om Tat Sat. If it helps you to remember that your offering is for Krishna, then that's fine. We can accept what is favorable for Krishna consciousness and reject what is unfavorable. And maintain the company of devotees. We should never leave the company thinking that I'm better off by myself, I'm better off somewhere else. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, what is a Vaishnava? He says, asat sanga tyaga. Immediately you have to leave aside mundane association. It doesn't mean you shouldn't preach to them, but you should give association to others and not take their association. So, coming to a conclusion, we shouldn't just take the easy path and think, I'm comfortable now in Krishna consciousness. Okay, it's a bhakti abhas, but I'm comfortable and we'll get there eventually. But we shouldn't take this method, because if we remain, if we remain non-committal like that, then our mind will draw us to material enjoyment. So we think we're fine at the moment. I can just relax here. I can enjoy a little bit. Oh, prasadam's nice. Oh, if I don't like prasadam here, I could go somewhere else. If we relax too much, then Maya will creep in and take our mind and say, oh, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, and we'll be fallen. So we have to remember that the direct path needs some intent, needs some effort. The only purification is pure faith. We might think doing work is good and jnana is good, but they are not limbs of bhakti. They can be helpful to bring us to bhakti sometimes, but it's not actually a limb of bhakti. It's not guaranteed. It's not there. It's a tool to bring us to understanding who Krishna is. Once we understand who Krishna is, we should take up the path of pure devotional service. Chanting Hare Krishna is a one-step path that immediately takes us to the success. Of course, it goes along with hearing and associating with devotees. Hearing so that we can chant without offense, which is extremely important. And associating with the devotees, which is also extremely important. Okay, does anyone have any comments or questions about today's class? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I have a question about faith. The beginning stage when I came, it was like a fire. I wanted to have it, my service, and now it's like slowing down. And I have doubts about everything. And these 5 processes which are for strengthening faith. Can we speed up somehow there? Do we see progress in like the faith actually?
Yeah, I mean this phenomenon is normal. In the beginning we have so much of enthusiasm, we experience some direct reciprocation for Krishna to make us attached to the process. But he wants us not to just have devotional sense gratification. We shouldn't expect to be happy all the time. Then that's like it's a type of sense gratification. So he wants us sometimes to work hard, and also it's also said that it can become the results of our anarthas. If we associating not properly with the devotees. We can also get some effect from that as well. But it's not necessary. In the beginning, we get so much of impetus directly from Krishna to help us in the process. And to speed up the process, we have to remember these things about chanting as much as we can without offense. We have to cultivate chanting without offense. We have to associate with the devotees, and we have to continue hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. 3 most important things that we can do to become steady in our devotional service. And of course, to avoid the offenses. Be very careful. We have to remember how rare is the association of devotees. We get a little comfortable in ISKCON because we're surrounded by devotees. We can take it casually and we don't worry if we offend somebody. But actually, it's compared to the number of people in this material universe, the number of devotees is very small. Krishna says out of many thousands of people, hardly a few want to become purified. Of those who want to become purified, hardly a few will come to devotional service, and even of those who come to devotional service, hardly a few. So devotees are very rare, and we have to be very careful and associate with them, and learn how to associate properly with them. And that will help protect us. If we build strong relationships in devotional service, then that will help protect us when our faith sometimes gets a little shaky and we're not sure we're going the right way. But those 3 things are the direct path of the fast track process. We have to stick to them and keep on going. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji?
During our discussion, we came to conclusion that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the final.
It is pure devotional service. This Om Tat Sat is recommended if we're still on the path of doing some sacrifice, austerity, or penance. It helps to purify us and gets rid of. But if we're in a mood to take directly to pure devotional service, then Prabhupada is saying that's the conclusion. He says here, although there is a process of gradual elevation, if one by association of pure devotees takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way. And that is recommended in this chapter. First find a spiritual master, receive training under his direction. Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures in the course of time, it is called love of God. This is the ultimate goal of living entities. One should therefore take to Krishna consciousness directly. That is the message of the 17th chapter. So yes, if we can take directly to pure devotional service, that is the best. But while we're still mixed and we're not sure, there's no harm in chanting Om Tat Sat.
So along with the association of the devotees, we had to perform Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna Mahamantra is very important. Association of devotees is very important. And hearing Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we have the correct conception of Krishna, we know who he is, and gradually by hearing continually, again and again, we will get to know him, and then we'll get to love him also. It will take us to perfection.
Then we don't need temple, right? In that case,
Temple helps us associate, Prabhuji.
I mean, we have association. We can join together. We can discuss about the Lord. We can study the Bhagavatam. Then deity worship necessary.
Deity worship is very deity worship is very potent. There's a quote. I don't know if I find the quote now, because I didn't save that quote. But after, when talking about these 5 potent processes, I'm quoting from Shivaram Swami's Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani. So he talks first about Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and he talks second about deity worship. And he says for householders, deity worship is essential. And he also says that if you do deity worship, that will take you back to Goloka Vrindavan. Because you're actually doing personal service to Krishna. You have to take the right mindset. You're serving Krishna directly. You have the opportunity in deity worship to serve Krishna directly. So in the temple you may not have your own deities, but deity worship includes also coming to the arti and coming to the temple, offering things to the deities, doing singing in the arti. It was also deity worship. So even if you're a temple devotee and you don't have your own deities, you still do deity worship. And it's still very potent because Krishna is there right in front of you. And we have to develop that conception. Krishna is there. You know the stories of the Goswamis, right? How they interacted with the deities. Even Srila Prabhupada interacted with the deities. I heard one story in one class from one Prabhupada disciple. He was in New Vrindavan, and he had the job of washing the deities' bhoga plate. After the offering, he had the job of emptying the bhoga and washing the deities' bhoga plate. And nobody else saw his work. But he was a bit lazy, so he wasn't doing it properly. But then Prabhupada came, and Prabhupada, the next day, Prabhupada said, Krishna told me you're not doing your service very well, you're not cleaning the plates very well. And this devotee says, nobody could have told Srila Prabhupada that. Only Krishna could have told Srila Prabhupada that. So Prabhupada was also interacting with the deities that we have in our temples. Don't take them for granted. Don't say we don't need them. Krishna might get upset if you say we don't need you. It's very powerful. It's not the most powerful, but it is very powerful. If we can include it in our devotional service, it's very good for us. And of course, in the temples also, we maintain being part of ISKCON and part of preaching. Preaching is also extremely powerful. Prabhupada brought in preaching and book distribution and life membership programs are two very powerful ways that we can please Krishna. Krishna says in 1878 or something like that, nothing pleases me more than those who spread this message to others. So for that reason our temples are there. That's why Prabhupada established these temples. He said, I could sit under a tree and just do my bhajan, but who would come? So I'm building these temples so people will come. So we can give our associate them, we can preach them, bring them to Krishna consciousness. That's a very quick way of getting Krishna to be happy with you, which is going to help.
One more question, Mark.
Sure, Prabhupada.
Regarding the grammar in the sloka, tapas taptam kritam.
Yes.
Taptam kritam. Taptam means execute. Kritam means proper translate.
Yeah, I know. They're performed. Yeah, I know. It looks a bit the same.
Almost the same, right?
It's almost the same. But Sanskrit, I'm not a Sanskrit expert. I can't answer that question for you. I don't know if anyone else can. But I also noticed that, and I also thought those two words are almost the same. But generally, in Sanskrit, repetition is good if it's making a point. But in this one, I think if you hear from a Sanskrit expert, there might be some slight different nuance in those two words that I can't comment on because I'm not a Sanskrit expert.
Like today's philosophical wise, any difference? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I can try. We can go on to database if I've got it open. Maybe. Library. Because then you can do a word search. Kritam, taptam. Taptam. There are some other meanings for taptam. Taptam also means having undergone austerities, suffered, affected. So it also means, sutapta means properly performed. So it does mean executed, but it also means specific to austerities. And then if we go to kritam, done, performed, is just simply completed, has been done. So Kritam is very simple, has been done, whereas Taptam is specific to austerities in some way. And I'm still not a Sanskrit expert. All right, anything else from anyone else?
So, final question.
Yeah.
Apart from all this, you devotional service chanting Hare Krishna.
Oh.
So I don't want anything to do. I simply chanting Hare Krishna whole day. Is it okay?
No. Prabhupada forbid it. Because in Kali Yuga, our mind won't stay steady. Our chanting is not pure. We can't keep our mind. There was an example somewhere. Someone in Mayapur begged and begged and begged and begged and begged Srila Prabhupada. I just want to sit and chant. I just want to sit and chant. And eventually Prabhupada said, okay, you're going to do it anyway. Okay, go. And after 3 months he left, never to be seen again. He left Krishna consciousness. You can't do it. The Kali Yuga mind, I don't know, how's yours? Mine is not so good. I'm trying to improve my chanting, but I can't say that I'm chanting purely. And I can't say that, and I can't attempt to chant 24 hours a day. We can't falsely imitate Haridas Thakur. We have to accept the process given by Acharyas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Haridas Thakur to chant, no problem. He told Raghunath Das Goswami to be renounced. He told Rupa and Sanatan to go to Vrindavan and uncover the holy places of pilgrimage and write books and describe Vaishnava etiquette. He gave them so many things to do. For different people, different processes. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't give everyone just chant Hare Krishna. And our process is preaching. If we ignore that, is Krishna going to be pleased? Our aim for chanting is to please Krishna. So we have to do what pleases Krishna. All right. Anything else from anyone? All right. Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.